The home of God is among mortals. He will dwell with them, and he will be their God. Amen. When I was knee-high to a grasshopper, I don't know, somewhere in this range, my brother was a little bit taller. My parents decided to teach us a prayer. Decided to teach us the Lord's Prayer. So we had been going to church at the Episcopal church that I was raised in, and they started slowly. So for about a week, we learned Our Father who art in heaven. And we repeated it every dinner. Our Father who art in heaven. And they would, okay, Our Father, what's the next statement? And we continued to learn the faith. We would go to Sunday school from time to time, not every Sunday, but we were regular enough that I started to learn things. I started to learn the Bible. I started to learn about what we do in church. I learned about ministers and lay people and just church life. I even once was so excited about church, this shouldn't surprise anybody, I signed my family up for coffee hour without them knowing. Oh, my mom was mad at me. Oh, she was just livid. Like last week, oh, Ricky, what did you do that for again? I was learning about church. And then about 5th or 6th grade, we started to read the Bible out loud. And I was not a good reader. I was actually a pretty poor reader and didn't learn to read early enough. Everybody was worried. And then they put a Bible in front of me. And I knew it was holy. I knew it was special, but I didn't know exactly why. And I could barely read it. It was all the these and thys and the thous and big words. And in fact, the Bible that we read from is its successor, and it was written for 12th grade readers and above. And it was given to me, even the one we read is considered that. And I could barely get through it. But I stuck with it. I thought there's something special, something that I'm going to learn about it. I started to learn about the faith. But there's a day that it turns around. There's a day in which the Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, no longer is just taught, but is spoken. It's said. It's said. And we learn to tell the story of God right here. Right in this place. We say the Lord's Prayer. We say the Creed. We sing hymns. And all of those things and everything else tell the story of God. And we're a part of that telling of the story. And when I was young, I was a little bit older, I remember, my mom, my dad, my brother, and I would sit in the balcony in the last pew. Our backs were to the back of the church. But I still remember looking out over and hearing those words come back. My mom would teach us in the day when you would put, and I don't know if any of you do this today, we would put little bookmarks in all the hymns. And we would sing, and we would read. And I would remember, just as our children do, running in near the end of the service, all excited to see our parents having done Sunday school stuff. And one of the words that I started to hear, that I remember learning before anything else in the liturgy, was in the post-communion prayer. Send us now into the world in peace. I don't know why I remember that. I don't know why I don't remember the creed. I don't know why I don't remember anything else. But I remember my mom holding that book open for me. And I remember reading, "Send us now into the world in peace." I don't think my life was difficult. I don't know that I needed peace. But I knew that the world needed peace. You may have noted we just sang a Christmas carol. Not one of the most common ones, but still one that is sung. Of the Father's love begotten. We began to tell the story of faith. We started to tell the story of the incarnation, the story of the birth of Jesus, the story that we should never stop telling, even in the middle of, well, the beginning of November. It could be even the middle of April, or May, or June, to tell the story of that little baby that came is the story we tell every Sunday. That I was taught, and you were taught, or maybe being taught. In a little bit, we're going to sing an Easter hymn. After that, we're going to sing a hymn of our ministry as people of God. And a little bit after that, we're going to sing that we are the saints of God. Because music tells the story of faith. One of those stories of faith that is very challenging is that in that faith, we die in God. The story of the Christian faith is a complete, full story of life, from the birth, our birth, the birth of the little baby, to the joy of the birth in the beginning of the world, to death, to the sadness, and in that death, we die. But in that death, we are then able to live the faith of Jesus. We're able to then go from learning and telling and dying and finally living the life of Christ. We're able to go and do more than just come here. But we're able to be sent into the world in peace, to love and to serve, to be the people that God calls us to be because we do it here. Next Sunday, we get to do a baptism. We get to do the baptism of a little boy who his family has invited us to be his people, to be his household of faith, to us to tell the story to him so that he can tell the story to us, so that, yes, there is brokenness in life, and that he will die so we can live. That story is the story we tell. It's the story we sing. It's the story we celebrate because we know we will always, forever live. We will live